have often emphasized on that if, as a brand or business, you are blinded by followers count, then my friend, you are doing the social media game completely wrong.
Don't get the wrong impression here. We want all our clients to have massive social media following, but don't overlook the main goal of closing deals and making sales.
So, hello and welcome back to another episode of Grow with the VS. Today, we are going to sell like hell with one and only Swastik Nandakumar. He's the founder of Sell It Like Swastik and creator of Business Influence Mastery course. We are glad to have you on board with us, Swastik.
Thank you so much, Anjali. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Kritika, as well.
Okay, so Swastik, before we hop on to the Sell Like Hell podcast and its exemplary practicality, we would like to know about your experience, background in general, and your digital journey. So tell us about that.
All right. So I think if you ask me about my journey, it's been a fun one, and it's been about 7 businesses, working in 7 businesses, working multiple jobs, doing multiple roles, working in a lot of jobs, and then. In fact, it's been a series of failures. All these 7 businesses that I started, all of them started collapsing very sequentially. And then I took up a job as a growth consultant. And then I happened to get out of that job as well. And then when I got out of that job is where there was a big hit. There was a big financial hit that I had. So together as father and son, we went under a huge loss. And there was this point where we didn't have any money. So that's the point where I decided to start learning stuff. So that's where I started to learn stuff and learn from people who made it big and try to understand what is it that they do very differently from other people. Why? Because it's not that everybody just became successful because they had some luck or they were born with something. So at least this is what I thought in the past. But then later when I started studying people, I realized that these guys are successful because these people know a lot of things that people don't know about. And that's when I started learning from these people. And that's where it went a step ahead from, listening to them, reading their books to learning from them, very closely. That was a transition. That was the point where things shifted, and I decided that this is something that I have to make available to a lot of people who are going through this phase of businesses collapsing, things not working out. And that's where it all started. And that's what has led to the Sell Like Hell journey. And it's been one it's been one hell of a journey if you ask me. This is a very short version of what's happened. That's how it's been.
That's really interesting. Amazing. I mean, you know what? I noticed one thing here. When asked about that journey, people usually talk about the success story, the cream part of it. But here you've told us about how you have failed so many times and overcame those obstacles, which is really amusing.
Right. So if you ask me, the success has just started now. So a lot of people send me messages saying, Swastik, how long has it been that you started? How did you manage the funds to get started in business? Because from what you're doing right now, including the studio setup, because I've been posting a lot of stories about the studio and how much it costs and all that. A lot of people ask me, Swastik, how do you arrange for funds? How do I get started like this? So that's where I tell them, I started 7 years back, but I think I started drawing some salary about a year back, not even a year back. It's been a few months that I started drawing salary.
Great. So this brings us to our next question, which revolves around Sell Like Hell podcasts and workshops, wherein you teach about mastering the art of sales, overcoming analysis and paralysis, the 80-20 balance. But all these already have been taught to most of the people during their MBAs and PGs. So how do you ingrain all these in your teachings? I mean, how do you balance out between knowledge and practicality, expertise and experience?
So the thing is, I'm a sucker for stories, and I believe that everybody loves stories. It's just that as you grow old, you don't want to tell people that you love stories because it makes you a child. And but if you honestly ask me, all my podcasts are a series of stories. So if you see how the Sell Like Hell podcast is, in fact, if you see episode 0. it says my overnight success story. So my overnight success story starts with the first minute, and I believe that when I complete 360 every 60 podcasts becomes 1 hour. Every 60 podcasts becomes 1 hour. That's been the concept of the Sell Like Hell podcast. In fact, I've not even hit 60 podcasts. I think I'm somewhere at about 20, somewhere there in the podcast range. So which means for that night to get over, for the next day to be seen as success, it is going to be quite a few episodes. So if you calculate about 10 hours, it's going to be about 600 episodes by the time it becomes 10 a.m. according to my podcast. So from 12 to 10 a.m., what seemed to be an overnight success story is going to be about 600 podcasts, right? So content without context makes no sense. For example, if I say I'm jumping, what does it mean? Like if I ask you, Anjali, if I say I'm jumping, what does it mean to you?
I would feel I'm excited about something.
I'm excited. I'm jumping. Kritika, what do you think when I say I'm jumping?
Yeah, same. I mean, maybe happy about something, or hopping unnecessarily or freely.
I'm hopping unnecessarily. So the thing is, I just said I'm jumping. That's the content. Everybody's fussing about content and content. Now, if I suddenly tell you, I'm jumping out of the window, both of you would be a little worried at this point, right? So which means if I don't give you the context without the content, it's useless. So a lot of people out there are trying to churn out content without giving the right context on what this content means. So 80-20 principle is something that people have been talking for ages. Or anything. It's not that I come up with new stuff, because I honestly believe that everything that everybody creates today, you cannot be original, and the people who created it in the past also they've picked it up from somebody else. It's just about how you share your perspective, your experience on that principle, that makes a difference. So I share the content with my context, and I think that's where people slightly get connected. Yeah.
Wow, that's really insightful. And you know what, on that note, Swastik, we would like to explore your philosophical side as well, because of course it does play a huge role while making sales. So as per our apparent sources, you've been reading a book called Asura lately, which talks about Ravan's perspective. And so thoughtfully you've linked that to buyer's perspective for someone who's converting leads. So can you please enunciate on, the thought of change the perspective and one day it will change your life, which also had us introspecting. So can you, brief us more on that?
Actually, let me talk about the book itself, since you brought that up. I just started reading this book in the morning today. And it starts with Ravana lying down. He's almost dead. And he says, I'm waiting for the wolves to eat me up. And this is where I see my life ending. And then it goes back to his flashback and how he started as a small kid, right? Ravana is a good guy in his story. Ravana is a good guy in his own way. He was the one who stood up for other people. See, Ravana's 9 heads represent different emotions. One represents anger, one represents love, one represents victory, one represents multiple things. Victory is not one of the heads, but I don't recollect all the emotions, right? But each of the heads represent one emotion. And there is an incident where he says Brahma was telling him to chop off all these heads. You should not have anger. Right? You should not have anger. And then he also said you should not have love, because love keeps you attached to people and it doesn't let you move ahead. You need to focus on victory. This is Brahma's teachings. Now, this is where Ravana stands up and says, you know what? If I don't have anger, when people do the wrong things, I won't be reacting right. And in the same way, if I don't have love, what is the meaning of life if I don't love people around me? What is the meaning of life if I don't love my wife? What is the meaning of life if I don't love my people? So as much as I understand the reason you're telling me this, I don't agree to this. This is the first time Ravana goes against Brahma. Now, when I was reading this blew my mind, because so far, this is something that I never knew. Right? I've never been into Indian mythology all that much. And suddenly when I read this, I had a completely new perspective where I wanted to sit and listen to Ravana. Like he was a very good friend of mine. So this is where I not so much realized, this is where I realized that, you know what? This is what I'm talking about as well. Everybody with respect to sales, they're focusing on how to sell more. In fact, anytime people come into my Sell Like Hell Masterclass or any of my programs, or for my consulting for that matter, people come to me saying, Swastik, I want to sell more. Fair enough. Ultimate goal is right. Which means they want to sell more products. But then when I sit with them for a while, they tell me that, Swastik, I get them to realize that they hate being sold themselves. Which means if somebody comes to them and says, you know what, why don't you buy this? Why don't you try this? They hate it. People run away from salespeople. I'm sure Kritika and Anjali, you both hate it too, right? You hate salespeople.
Yes.
But do you love buying clothes? Do you like buying clothes? Do you like buying the stuff that you love? Maybe phones or laptops. Do you love buying?
Yes, we do.
Which means as human beings, we love buying stuff. I love the fact that I could go out there and shop each of these things. But if somebody had come to me and started selling these things to me, I would hate it. Which means people love buying, but they hate being sold. Now, there are two ways of looking at it. One is to say that, you know what, people hate being sold, I'm still going to sell. This is what a lot of people come to me thinking that Swastik will give them a magic formula on how to sell more. That's one way to look at it. When people are resisting, I'll break that resistance and go ahead. You will make sales. I'm not saying you won't. But the other one is to play with the flow, which means what do people already like? They like buying. If you can think on why people buy something and present yourself in accordance to that, as opposed to going out there and selling, I believe that you'll be able to sell a lot more. Now, the question is, why don't people do it? Because it takes a lot of time. For you to be on people's minds, you need to create a presence. Online, offline, doesn't matter. That's a medium. But you still need to step up and tell people that, hey, you know what, I'm there to help you out. And when you tell people that I'm there to help you out, you can't expect people to believe you without you actually helping them. Which means you need to step up and start helping people. And this takes a lot of time to build trust. And people are not willing to do that. And this is where they need to change the perspective from stepping up to sell to thinking about why people want to buy. This is where, for me, I call this the art of pulling sales, where people want to buy from you as opposed to you having to sell.
Wow, and here we are sold for the workshop.
Also, while listening to the phases of your journey and experience, I cannot resist to ask you, how do you make people trust you in your entire process while talking about your own failures?
This is the same question we asked ourselves. This is the same question that you're asking us. Is the question asking me right now is the same question I sat and asked my team. I said, you know what? See, why do you think people should trust us? So we're sitting together, and a team of 4 people. We're a team of 3. Now we're a team of 5 at this point. But back then we were a team of 3. We sat together and I asked my team a question. How do you expect people to trust us? The question was, how do we increase our sales? Now, and the answer was, you know what? We don't know. We have to figure out. We have to get people to trust us. And the only way to get people to trust us was, one is on the outside, whatever content that we put up, people should find it relatable. That's the first thing. Which means content with the right context should be delivered. What I say, they should be able to do something about it right now and see some results. When you're able to give results to people, people trust you. That's quite obvious. Now, if you give people results in advance, which means without them having to pay, if you give them results in advance, that's one way of building trust. But that's not enough for if I'm selling my if my consulting is about 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, and if I'm selling that, even the small result I give them is not enough. In the future, let's say when I have 300, 400k followers, if I have a verified Instagram account and I have multiple PR and all of that, perhaps then it'll be enough. But at this point, it's definitely not enough for people to pick out their cards and say, you know what, Swastik, take 5 lakhs, here you go. It's not enough at this point. So that's when we said, okay, we are doing that. That's when we started creating content in the first place. Then the next round, we had the same question. Now, how do we increase our sales to the next level? That's when we realized that this is when we were doing webinars and we were helping people with their businesses. We were either selling our consulting services to people, or lately we have been selling our courses as well, because we are capped on time. That's when we realized people are coming into our webinar, but our conversions are lower, which means we could have a lot more conversions is what we felt. That's when we thought, you know what, let's do something for a span of 3-4 days, 4-5, it became 5 then, 4-5 days where we barely charge them anything. And we give them insane amount of value. Where, you know what, if people don't go ahead in the future with us, that's absolutely okay. But just being there for 5 days, they should remember us for the rest of their lives. So that's where the Sell Like Hell Masterclass came into place, by answering this question on what would make people buy. Why? The question that I actually asked my team and myself was, if I was my customer, why would I not buy? That was the question. If I was my customer, why would I not buy? And the answer to that customer was, trusting Swastik over a 2-hour webinar is not going to be enough for a lot of people to take that leap of faith. That was the answer. Now, how do we get people to trust us? If people sit with us for 5 days where they see insane amount of value from us, that's when we'll have crazy sales. And that's where we created the Sell Like Hell Masterclass. And since then, it's been one crazy journey. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Swastik, for your valuable time and ultra thoughtful ways of doing the business and monetizing it the right way. I mean, it was great listening to you and learning from you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me here. Really appreciate this. Yeah.
Alright, for those who have watched us till here, thank you so much. And if you want to master the art of selling, you know where to find Swastik. And stay tuned with Grow with the VS, Kritika and Anjali. And do not forget to like, comment, share and subscribe.
The VS
signing off.